Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this year's contribution to the Golden Bear orientation from Civil and Environmental Engineering. My name is Mike Cassidy. I'm a professor here in CEE, and I also have the pleasure more recently of serving as one of several vice chairs for the department. My portfolio as vice chair is undergraduate studies, so it's in that capacity that I have the privilege of being here today to welcome you to this event, and indeed, welcome and thank you very much for coming. Now, fortunately, and I mean fortunately for everyone involved, I haven't come here alone, not by any means. I have quite an army with me going to help me out. In fact, this morning, we're joined by our CEE department chair, Professor Mark Stacy, who maybe you can see on the screen, Mark. Also, we have our undergraduate advisor for the Department of CEE, Julia Kanopasik, who you've probably interacted with, or you may have interacted with already. Surely you will before long if you haven't. We also have Catherine Bouvier-Dang, who is the CEE undergrad advisor for the College of Engineering here on campus. And if that weren't enough, we have a rather large number of our current undergrad students who have come here this morning or who will join us this morning to help out. You'll be hearing from many of them later on this morning as they talk to you about professional organizations here on campus, as well as competition teams like Concrete Canoe and Steel Structure and the many other teams we have here in the department. Now, with this really impressive panel, I feel quite empowered to encourage you to ask any questions or to make any comments you want over the course of today's little event. The reason I feel empowered is because although I'm sure you could ask me questions that would stump me, I feel you would have a very difficult time stumping the panel as it's quite experienced and knowledgeable. So if you have any questions or thoughts as we're going through this morning, feel free to turn off your mute button and state them, or if you want, you could sort of virtually raise your hand, or if you're feeling shy, you could even use the chat function here on Zoom. It's all good. However you want to do it, it's great with us. That's about as far as I wanted to say with introductory remarks. What I'd like to do now is just for a few moments, turn the podium over to our department chair, Mark Stacy, who's going to offer a few words of welcome.
Thanks, Mike. Welcome, everyone. It's an exciting week. It's a week that has been a long time coming for all of us here at Berkeley. And I know that most of you are going to be arriving here on campus for the first time. You're not alone. Our sophomores also will probably be arriving on campus for their first time, and students that transferred in last year for their first time, and even our juniors and seniors have been away for 18 months. So this is going to be quite a transition back, and I can tell you that I am personally super excited to start to see everything reactivate here this week. Campus is just way too quiet, and I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you in classes, in the hallways, on campus, and let's just get this going this fall. Of course, maintaining in-person instruction and the safety of everyone is the highest priority for all of us. The department has taken a lot of steps to ensure that. You all know about the vaccine mandate campus-wide. Congratulations and thank you to all of you for such an astoundingly high vaccination rate. Really proud of our student body. It's just a remarkable accomplishment to be pushing 95%. So thank you, and keep pushing for that even higher. And the indoor mask mandate is campus-wide. I'll be monitoring that at the department level. We've taken other steps within the department, things like some filtration units in a lot of our classrooms, thinking about how to flow people in and out of our classrooms, just things to sort of ease that transition back as everyone starts to feel comfortable with in-person instruction once again. It's not going to be easy, but it will absolutely be worth it. And I just personally, I'm just really excited to make this transition back. With that, I think I will turn it back over to the panel. I wish that we were actually meeting in person. We didn't know how many would arrive, and we have a hard cap at 200 for in-person sessions. At any rate, I look forward to meeting you all this week, And please stop by, say hello, and let's see each other in the three-dimensional world for the first time in far too long. And finally, of course, I would be remiss if I didn't finish with Go Bears. So.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you for that welcome. With that, I'm sure you're quite eager to learn more about the CEE program. But before we do that, I thought maybe we could do a little bit of self-exploration and learn a little bit about ourselves. In other words, I have a kind of an icebreaker I'd like to go with. Ibrahim, are we in a point where we could share my questions? Here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to ask you in sequence 3 very probative and revealing questions. And I'd like you, each of you, to respond to each question with 1 response. And then I got to warn you, there are points associated with each response. You can't see that here. But after you give the responses, I'll tell you the points. And what I want you to do is I want you to keep track of the points you earn from these 3 questions, because that's going to say a great deal about yourself. So some of you, of course, are already responding to the first poll question. It says, which of the following skills would you most like to master? Would you like to learn how to solve partial differential equations? Would you like to learn a new language? Would you like to learn how to converse with animals? Or would you like to learn about advanced thermodynamics? So take a moment here if you haven't already answered it. Just answer to one of these responses. And I'll tell you what the points associated with each response is after we're done here with this question. Yeah? Any last minute answers? Going once, going twice. Ibrahim, do I end the poll or do you end the poll? I'm not worthy. You go ahead and end it. All right, so there you have it. There are the answers, kind of somewhat evenly distributed. Now what I want to do is I want to tell you the points associated with each response and why. So if you answered either you would like to solve differential equations or learn a new language, please give yourself 3 points. Keep track of that score. Now, if you said you'd like to learn how to converse with animals, just give yourself 1 point. Not so many points because I think conversing with animals would be an interesting trick, but I think keeping the conversation going would be difficult and it would make me nervous. So you don't get many points for that. Now, finally, this is kind of important. If you picked advanced thermodynamics as the thing you want to learn, what I want you to do is I want you to subtract 4 points from your score. The reason I want you to do that is I think picking thermodynamics shows a kind of too much affection for mechanical engineering, and I don't like that either. So you lose 4 points. All right, now, so far so good, huh? I'm going to give you your second of 3 questions. Now, before you do it, Ibrahim, before you show these questions, I've got to warn you, this is a politically sensitive question, but its probative value outweighs its downside. So, Ibrahim, without further ado, would you show the next question? We want you to choose from the following list your favorite US president. You might pick Abraham Lincoln, or Franklin Roosevelt, or Ronald Reagan, or Vladimir Putin, or Joe Manchin and Christian Sinema. Guys, take a minute to think about this and then answer the question. All right, the scores keep coming in. This is kind of exciting. All right, last chance to register your vote if you haven't already done so. Going once, going twice. All right, Ibrahim, I think time is up. Time to end the poll. All right, now you're all eager to know the points associated with each. So if you selected either Lincoln, Roosevelt, or Reagan, give yourself 3 points. And notice I'm being nonpartisan here. I'm being bipartisan. Now, if you're one of those 2 people who selected Vladimir Putin, give yourself a whopping 12 points. And that's a lot of points because you evidently understood who was running the last administration. And by the same token, if you're that person who picked the tandem of Joe Manchin and Christian Sinema, again, give yourself 12 points because you understand who's running the current administration. All right, very good. Last question. Keep track of your scores now. Here's the last question. Ready, Ibrahim? Which is your favorite Major League Baseball team? Notice I'm saying baseball. You can pick the Padres, the Patriots, the A's, the Giants, or the Dodgers. If you're not doing well so far in this poll, don't fret, because there's some of these current responses have a lot of points associated. So choose wisely. All right, going once, going twice. The poll is ended. Okay. Or no, the poll isn't ended, but I think it's time to end the poll. All right, so if you're that one person who picked the Padres, give yourself 1 point. I know that's not a lot of points, but that's really just charity. I mean, think of the low points for the Padres as being kind of commensurate with their ability to underachieve. And now, if you are the 3 people who selected the New England Patriots, clearly you don't know what's going on, and I really like that. So give yourselves 15 points. Now, if you pick the Oakland A's, I want you to give yourself 0 points. I know that seems stingy, but in the end, being an A's fan is really pointless. Okay, now, finally, if you're a San Francisco Giant fan, you need to understand that they last won the World Series in 2014. So if you pick the Giants, in honor of 2014, give yourselves 14 points. And then finally, if you pick the Dodgers, you probably know that the Dodgers' last World Series championship was 2020. So if you pick the Dodgers, I want you to subtract 20 points from your score. No, wait, I changed my mind. If you're a Dodger fan, I want you to subtract 100 points. Okay, now, very good. Take a moment now to tally your scores, all right? And I'm gonna tell you what it means. The scores are kind of revealing. If you scored more than 7 points, you did very well and you should be proud of yourselves. On the other hand, if you scored less than a minus 20 points, you're obviously a Dodger fan and you're like that person who picked the Patriots. You really don't know what's going on. So good. Congratulations on that poll. You all did very well. Now, I think with that said, I'm gonna erase this poll thing and we're gonna get started with the presentation, huh? So I'm gonna share my screen here and hopefully you can all see that. Here's my nice opening slide. Here's the point breakdown from the poll. And now we're going to get into with talking about what the CEE program at Berkeley has to offer. And I was always taught that when you want to start a conversation, you always want to lead with your strength. So what I'm going to say is something you may have already been aware of, and that is that our department in CEE here at Berkeley is ranked #1 across the country. It is the best in the country. And the first question we might ask ourselves is, how is that? How is it that Berkeley became the #1 program? And the answer is here in these slides. In fact, what I'm saying here is really quite true because no academic program is better than its students. And so perhaps the biggest reason for our success has to do with you and the students who have come before you. What I'm basically acknowledging here, what we're all acknowledging here is that the CEE program at Berkeley is really a community. And as a community, we're excited each year with each new incoming class, you guys in this particular case, because we know that you're going to contribute and build upon our legacy. And we know that individually and collectively, you're going to help reaffirm and advance our departmental norms and standards. And what I mean by norms and standards for the department are rather simple. As I said, we acknowledge in this department that we are a community. And specifically, we are a community that is bound together by this unifying broad theme of civil and environmental engineering. And as scholars, we fancy ourselves to be top-notch. But the point here is that our greatest strengths lie less in our individual skills than in our strengths as a group or as a community. Because in one way or another, all of our successes are communal. They all tend to be collaborative and cooperative. And we try to keep this philosophy in mind in most everything we do here in the department. So to try to be a little more concrete, let me give an example. I think we'd all agree that inside the classroom, professors and lecturers and instructors are sort of responsible for delivering material, and students are responsible for learning that material. But to the extent possible, we try to view this whole course delivery, subject learning, we try to view this as a collaborative enterprise. We try to work together to ensure success in this regard, and I'm going to have more to say about that shortly. But right now, what I'd kind of like to mention is that, in my opinion, and in the opinion of many others in the department, it's our collaborative nature this collaborative nature of ours has never been more important than in these sort of times when we come towards what we hope is the end of a pandemic, as we hope we start to emerge from distance learning and social isolation and so forth, and social distancing. And we hope we start moving towards something that is a little closer to what we had come to regard as normal. Certainly, the campus and the department is doing everything we can to try to return to that normality. Although today we are remote in this event, and as Professor Stacy mentioned a few minutes ago, that's largely because we weren't sure about what kind of attendance we would have and whether we'd be able to fill a room with sufficient distancing and so forth. The truth is, you'll see that in this department and mostly across the campus, we're all very committed to having in-person instruction to the fullest extent that we're able. Okay, now that's kind of optimistic. It is possible, of course, because there's a lot of uncertainties still confronting us. It is possible because of variants of the virus or poor air quality because of wildfires and so forth. There may be times during this coming semester when we have to take a step backwards and revert, for example, to remote learning. I'm not saying that's going to happen, and I don't have any inside information, and I certainly hope it doesn't happen. But I do know that if it does, if we do have a setback now and then, I know we're going to work together as a community to make the best out of this. Okay. And of course, it's also true that even if things go very smoothly, even in the best of circumstances, meaning even if there were no pandemic to worry about, you guys as incoming students are going to be facing some challenges, because under any circumstances, you're going to have all the stresses of trying to familiarize yourself with, in a sense, a new way of life. I mean, you're going to have to learn how to navigate a new institution. You're going to have to learn how this system, this Cal campus and this Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering works. And that's challenging, for sure. The rest of us, though, who are not incoming students, we're going to try to help out as best we can. And one of the ways we're going to do that, for example, is that we've taken 6 faculty, and I'm sorry they're all men in this case, that's kind of unusual, but it just worked out that way. But we have 6 faculty who have been assigned to be academic advisors for all incoming students in our department. So if, for example, you're an incoming junior transfer, your academic advisor will be Demetrius Konstantinidis. If, on the other hand, you're an incoming freshman, then you have been assigned to one of the 5 remaining advisors, faculty advisors, whom you see here. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Julia, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you've all been notified as to who your academic advisor is. Is that true, Julia?
Not yet. I'm working on it.
But soon you will know. So, well, we just thought we'd hold the suspense for a few more hours or a day or two. Okay, but in any case, soon enough, you'll know who your advisor is. Yeah, and that's important. I would encourage you to use your advisor in the wisest ways possible. Let me start by talking about a formal way in which the advisor will work with you. Come this October, before you sign up for classes for the spring semester, you'll meet privately with your advisor to talk about classes you might want to take in the spring, as well as to maybe do some additional future long-range curriculum planning, things that I'm sure you've already done with Catherine. Okay, we'll just do some more of that with your advisor. But of course, that's not the only thing your advisor can do for you. Your advisor can be a contact person whom you can speak with whenever you have something you want to talk about. So let's take a kind of a worst case scenario for now. Let's suppose you're having a little trouble getting started, getting acclimated to the department in the first few weeks of the semester, and you're feeling kind of down about it and you're feeling a little worried about it. Well, by all means, you can send an email to your department advisor and he can speak with you and, see of how to make things a little better, how to make things a little more comfortable, how to get you acclimated. Of course, the thing is, although the academic advisor is a good person to do this with, there are many other faculty and staff in the department whom you can speak with these kinds of things, whether you're interested in getting information about courses or career opportunities, or you just have something else you want to talk about. Faculty and staff will be eager to speak with you once you reach out to them. And I should definitely mention that it's also a good idea in many cases to speak with your fellow students. In some cases, it's good to speak with an upperclassman who's been around a while and who knows the ropes. And in other circumstances, it might be good to speak with a fellow incoming student, if for no other reason than just to swap notes and commiserate, as the case may be. Okay. But the point I'm trying to make is this. The faculty and staff in this department take as a responsibility the task of working with you as needed to help ensure you have a successful and productive fall semester and a successful and productive first year. Okay. Fellow students, while they don't have that responsibility, I know you'll find them eager to work with you and help you in any way they can. What I'm trying to talk about here is one of the ways that we in the department will help you as incoming students to get you acclimated. But as I said, this is a partnership, this is a collaboration, this is a community. So I want to take a moment here and ask you out there in the virtual world, I should say, the virtual world. What are some of the things maybe you guys could do as incoming students, whether you're transfer students or incoming freshmen? What are the things you could do in this collaborative partnership to help ensure that your coming fall semester and your coming academic year is a successful and productive one? Do you guys have any ideas? I mean, if you do, please take a moment, turn off your mic, turn off your mute, excuse me, if you like, and offer an idea. Yes, Mohammed. What's your idea?
Yeah, so hello, my name is Mohammed Suhaib. I am a junior transfer as a civil engineering student. Yeah, so far what I'm doing is I took part in a steel bridge competition team. I am taking part, I'm just trying to join the engineering student council finance team. And then I'm trying to socializing with those students who I studied with during my transfer preparation program, and trying to make a group study so we can study together and like face our hard time together so we can be successful.
Mohammed, those are all excellent suggestions. I heard joining a competition team, I heard a study group, I heard something about the student council, engineering student council.
Yeah.
So, and those are all excellent ways of becoming kind of acclimated to the community and getting a good sense of how things work around here, who the other people are involved in this department, and how to get off to a good start. Yeah, anybody else want to shout out an idea or two on what you think you might do toward a successful semester and year? Anybody want to add to what Mohammed said? Julia, what are you going to do? I know you're not a student, but we're all students of life. What are you going to do this year, especially this fall?
Me? So,
Yeah.
I try really hard to communicate to students that I'm available. Just send me an email, even though I'm not on campus. Send me an email, and we'll either chat by phone or by Zoom, and make that community happen.
Thank you, Julia. What about students who are continuing students who are not incoming but have been here for a year or two or three? I know you're out there. You have any suggestions on what you're going to try to do this year to make it a successful one? Anybody?
I plan to sleep.
That's a good one. Just not during lectures too much, only sometimes.
I'm going to try to keep some of the lessons I took from being online and use them even when I'm in person.
Very nice.
Like taking advantage of all the online resources we have here on campus.
Very nice, Ibrahim.
Adding on to that, kind of. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Courtney.
I think that I learned a lot from online school, that like office hours are a great way to really talk to professors. And I think that when it's in person, it can be a little more intimidating, but I think that after bridging that like kind of like tedious like I guess like gap or whatever over online, it's good to, I'm hoping to go attend more in-person office hours as well.
Very good, Courtney. Thank you. Thank you for that. How about one more brave volunteer, either incoming student or current student? Going once, going twice. Well, to be honest with you, you guys have exhausted my list, because these are the things I was thinking of as well, and they've all been said. You know, Courtney, for example, just mentioned about staying on top of courses, including attending office hours when necessary. Getting good night's sleep, of course, is important too. forming a study group Mohammed mentioned. He also mentioned joining a competition team like the concrete canoe or the steel bridge or so forth. It also might be a good idea to consider joining ASCE, the American Society of Civil Engineering, the student chapter here in Berkeley, where I understand tomorrow at 4, there's going to be a kind of an orientation meeting, right? It's out on the Bechtel Terrace, isn't it? Yeah. So these are all good things to think about toward maximizing the likelihood of a very successful coming year. Second thing I want to say before I step down is that, yeah, we've talked about the department being ranked #1 in the country, and we talked about some of the reasons why that is the case. One of the last things I want to say, though, is so what? So we're ranked #1. Why should we even care? Are there any real benefits to being ranked top in the country? And I think, yeah, I think there are some real benefits. First, I think our program in civil and environmental engineering here at Berkeley offers students some world-class opportunities that a lot of other programs at other institutions simply aren't able to offer. And I would say that one of the advantages that Cal CEE program can offer its students is kind of an understanding of the connection between teaching and research. I mean, inside the classroom, for example, you're going to have instructors who have dedicated their entire professional career to trying to advance one or more subspecialties in civil and environmental engineering. I mean, some of us are structural engineers, others are geotech, others are transportation, and so forth. But you'll find that that knowledge acquired from the instructor's effort to advance some aspect of CEE is going to permeate the classroom. And you'll find that course material is really informed by cutting-edge research. But even more important than this, our students can do more in regard to research than just hear about it in the classroom. Because in our department, we have something we call the Undergrad Research Opportunity Program, or UROP for short. And how UROP works is kind of simple. If you're an incoming freshman, then starting next year in your sophomore year, or if you're an incoming junior transfer, then starting either this year or next year, you can have the opportunity to work with a faculty member as a mentor in conducting actual research, ideally research that would end in the publication of some sort of report or manuscript. Ideally, this would be kind of a mentorship research opportunity that would span more than a year. 2 years is kind of the ideal, or the normative time. And I should also mention that these UROP positions come with monetary stipends. So you're not doing things for free. You're learning about research and you're being rewarded monetarily as well. You'll hear more about this in October, about the opportunities in this program. What I can also say with regard to why is it an advantage to be at a #1 program? Well, while you're studying here, you'll find that in the outside world, being at Berkeley tends very often to open doors for you. You'll find that you have opportunities in many cases for internships or summer jobs. And then finally, when you finish your studies here at Berkeley and you receive your bachelor's, once again, I think very often you'll find that being a Berkeley graduate, being an alum, will open doors for you, whether you're interested in starting your career with an employer or whether you're interested in pursuing graduate school. My impression is that employers and graduate programs tend to be very eager to get our Berkeley students because they know that our Berkeley students are well prepared. And when I mean well prepared, well, I mean, for example, they're prepared in the fundamentals of math and science, and they're prepared in the fundamentals of engineering. Here I'm talking about things like mechanics and strength of materials and so forth. And very importantly, they're prepared in courses pertaining directly to civil and environmental engineering. Let me just mention as a side, as I'm going to show you in a few minutes, we have so many different courses on the subject of civil and environmental engineering. Students often wonder if they should try to specialize in one or two specific areas within civil engineering. So for example, some students say, oh, I'm really interested in structures. Or they say, oh, I'm really interested in a combination of structures and geotech, which is fine. And if you lean in that direction and you know there's a particular subspecialty or two within civil and environmental engineering that you want to pursue, and that you know there's career opportunities there for you and professional satisfaction there, go ahead and pursue a somewhat focused undergraduate curriculum. On the other hand, many of our students feel they want to stay broad as an undergrad and sample from courses from all the CE subspecialties and all the various specific disciplines. And that's a very good thing to do as well. Different people have different opinions on this, but my opinion is whatever feels right to you, whether you want to stay focused or whether you want to stay broad in taking courses, do what feels right to you, I think. Okay. Now, this is all very good, but I'll be honest with you, there's one or two little imperfections with regard to our curriculum. And I think one of the major imperfections is that the way in which we sequence courses throughout your 4 years here at Cal, or 2 years at Cal, if you're a junior transfer. Because what we do, like a lot of programs, is that in the first couple of years, in the freshman and sophomore years, you're given a great deal of fundamentals in math and science, as well as engineering fundamentals. And then all the specialty classes in civil engineering and environmental engineering generally don't come until the junior and senior years. So a number of our students understandably felt that they were waiting a long time to learn specifically about civil and environmental engineering. And so to try to accommodate that, we're slowly but surely trying to make changes in our undergrad curriculum to expose students to more aspects of civil engineering earlier on. And what we've done here is shown, what we've done so far, what will apply to you, is shown here in the red. What we've done recently is we've added a data science class in the freshman year. And that is in response to where we know the civil and environmental engineering field is going, as well as all the other engineering fields are going. And on top of that, we've added in the freshman year what we call a cornerstone design class. It's a new class with an old course number. It's called CE92. And what's going to happen is that this spring semester, whether you're an incoming junior transfer or an incoming freshman, you're going to have a chance to pick one or two cornerstone design courses. We're going to offer two very distinct sections of these cornerstone designs. One of the sections we're going to offer is kind of a reflection of civil and environmental engineering systems. And so if you were to pick this option for CE92, what you would do is you would kind of design and develop a mock prototype of something associated with civil systems. So for example, you might develop a water purifying system, or a food storage system, or a recharge system for electric cars, or something like this. On the other hand, if you pick the other section of our cornerstone design, CE92, that's more focused on structural engineering. So the focus is a little more narrow. And in that section, what you would do is you would design and fabricate a structural member to meet some pre-specified specifications. Okay, so come the spring, you can choose between these two cornerstone design options, or if you have time in your schedule, you could even take both. But that said, there's still, the other thing I should say, again, to repeat, in this first year or two of your studies, do consider getting involved in ASCE. Do consider getting involved in one or more competition teams, whether that's Steel Canoe or the transportation or the environmental team or what have you. Because that's not only a wonderful way to get to know the community and get to know the other people involved in this community, it's also a good way of further familiarizing yourself with what the field of civil and environmental engineering is all about. Because despite these changes we've made, it's still true that most of the civil and environmental engineering courses do not come until your junior year, right? And when they come fast and hard. We have courses in the junior and senior level. Our courses include capstone design courses where you work on a senior design project, something rather sophisticated, something rather realistic, where you work in a team. We also have CE applications courses. We have courses we call CE extension courses, of which there are many options. In fact, I want to show you, not just, it's kind of an embarrassment of riches, but just to get an idea of the wealth of courses we have in CE, in CEE for our juniors and seniors for the most part, is, I've got these two slides worth of courses. I'm not asking you to remember any of these courses. I just want you to recognize that there's a great many such courses. In fact, you'll have so many courses to choose from. I'm sure you'll find some that are interesting. I don't think any of you will feel like you don't have a good option on which courses you want to take in any given semester. Of course, with all these civil engineering courses, with all these course options, the question is, how do you decide which courses you want to take? Well, again, getting back to that idea of advising with Catherine in the dean's office, with Julia here in our office, and with your academic advisors and any other faculty or staff member you want to work with. We can all help you in trying to determine an appropriate curriculum that kind of meets your preferences and meets your aspirations. Julia or Catherine, did you want to say anything more with regard to advising or course selection, things like that?
Well, I'm available, to help students understand what courses are about and what courses are when they're going to be offered. So you can kind of make some plans for when you want to take certain courses. And Catherine is really key to make sure that this degree worksheet, which is up on the screen right now, is completed so that you can actually get your degree, because that is the roadmap for getting your BS degree. And Catherine is the one who makes sure that all of those boxes are checked appropriately so that you can graduate.
And I would say another thing that might be useful is using the flow charts if you're trying to figure out when you're supposed to take things. So I'll put that in the chat.
Thank you, Catherine. Yes, there are some flow charts. I think we have various flow charts still, Julia, right? For those who want to stay broad in their civil engineering education, as well as those who want to get a little more focused. There are sample flow charts of courses you could take from one semester to the next. In a few moments, I think we're going to go into breakout sessions where each of you will have opportunities to speak with some of our current students on competition teams and ASCE and other student organizations. But before we do that, I'm wondering, do you have anybody out there have any questions or thoughts they want to share at this point with what we've been discussing? Anybody? Maybe just shout out something, because I'm not sure I'm going to be able to see if your hand is raised virtually.
I have a couple questions.
Very good.
Cool. So first, like when you're talking about the Cornerstone design class, you said that there's like a structural engineering section and then
systems section.
Systems section. So for that one, like you're saying that you'd like design a member for a predetermined like structure. And I didn't really get what you meant.
Yeah, I'm sorry for not being clear. So there are two sections. In the systems section, it's really up to you to design a prototype of something relevant to CEE systems. And they gave a few examples that came to mind, like recharging stations for electric cars, water purifying systems, and so forth. But ultimately, it would be up to you and your team working with the instructor in this section of the Cornerstone design course to pick something you wanted to work on and develop.
Yeah,
Now,
if I could.
Yeah, okay. Let me just finish one thing. The second section, that's more focused on structural engineering. So there you'll be given a kind of a pre-specified standards that your structural member needs to meet in terms of bearing loads and so forth. And you'll design and fabricate a scale version of that structural member as part of the course exercise, a big part of the exercise. Is that clear? So you have two slightly different flavors of design in the context of civil and environmental engineering. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Thank you so much.
Sure. Is there another question? Or...
Well, I was just going to add
Julia,
to
I'm sorry.
that.
Please,
That's okay.
Please, yes.
That these two are introductory level courses. You don't have to have any knowledge about civil engineering. You're going to be walking through that with the faculty. You're not expected to have, grand ideas or deep understanding of civil engineering. Yet these are introductory courses designed for freshmen.
Julia makes a very good point. These are really courses designed to just get you familiar with what CEE is all about. And these two different sections of the course in and of themselves cannot explain all of what CEE is about. In fact, after 4 years here, none of us really know everything about CEE, but you'll get a little bit of a familiarity with what the field is about and what kinds of things CEE, civil engineers and environmental engineers work on. All right. Any other questions?
Is it possible to study abroad underneath the civil engineering curriculum, even though it is pretty rigid, because that's the way engineering is? And how would we go about taking the correct courses to prepare us for that opportunity?
Excellent question. The short answer is yes, but the more informed answer is going to come from Julia.
Yeah, that's something that if you want to study abroad, that we need to start talking about. Probably, your second semester here. We have a lot of resources for that, and there's plenty of opportunity for doing that. But we do need to make some plans for it. So we'll want to meet one-on-one to do that.
With you, Julia.
Yes, with me.
Yes. Good question. What else? What else is out there? All right. Well, we have more time for questions later. What I think we're going to do next, Julia, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're going to go to breakout sections in a moment. Not quite yet, but in just one moment, where each breakout session will be dealing with a different theme, and all the themes collectively talk about competition teams and student organizations. So just to walk you in, and each breakout room is going to be hopefully suitably, appropriately titled, so you have a sense of what the discussion is going to be going on between you and our returning students. But just to kind of give you an overview of the options you're going to have available to you now for the next 30 minutes or so as you talk about competition teams and so forth. Let me just give you a little tour of what the breakout rooms are going to entail. And I'll do this in no specific order other than I think the order that these things were submitted to me. So there's going to be some discussion about the Cal environmental team, which I think is largely involved in environmental air quality, water quality, and so forth, and designing systems competing against other designs with other students from other universities. There's also the Chi Epsilon Honor Society that's only available to, I guess, juniors and seniors, but it's something you can start thinking about, something worth thinking about to be sure. There's the construction team. There's also the Cal Seismic Design team. There is the American Society of Civil Engineers, the ASCE, again, a large umbrella, irrespective of what subspecialties in civil engineering might interest you most. You can find a nice home in the ASCE, and that's certainly worth paying a visit to in this breakout session. We've got the Cal Transportation team that I understand takes real world problems and comes up with solutions and compares those solutions to the solutions generated by other students at other schools. There is the Concrete Canoe team, which is the classic designing and racing a concrete canoe. There's something called the Decal course this fall. Decal courses are run by our undergraduate students, and we'll have one relevant to civil engineering this semester. And if you're interested in taking that one unit class, you might stop by the breakout session in a few minutes. And I think the last one we have is Steel Bridge, last but not least. Yeah, that's it. So these are the options you have for the next, what is it going to be, Julia, 30 minutes or so? You can kind of move in and out of breakout rooms as you like. You don't have to stay with one. Come and visit one, then go visit another if you like. Ibrahim, are you going to help us? I'm going to stop sharing here. Stop sharing my screen anyway.
Yeah, Julia's.
I think Tracy's going to do it.
Tracy's going to do it.
I think all the rooms should be open now, and
Wonderful.
anyone can go to the bottom right-hand corner and choose breakout rooms and choose to jump in different rooms.
We can probably pause the recording at least, don't you think, Julia?
I was just thinking that same thing. I will pause.
Opportunities and oh,
Sorry.
it's okay. Professional development opportunities and chances. These usually take the form of info sessions or our spring career fair. An info session, since many of you probably don't know, is essentially when a company comes to our campus to talk to our students about their company and try and get people interested, you guys interested to potentially join, whether that be as an intern or eventually as an actual working employee. Usually they'll collect some resumes, so it's useful to have those on hand. Speaking of, we'll also provide a resume workshop that we usually co-host with SFYMF, which is basically younger engineering organization, younger adult engineering organization, to put it basically. Let's see. Sorry. Then the third thing we try to do is some more philanthropic slash volunteering events. So we'll participate in the Berkeley Project, which is essentially a large scale project where a bunch of university students from across the campus get assigned to different projects in the community. I think 2 years ago when I did it, we were clearing some brush from the hills. So to negate some fires reaching those communities. Lots of other opportunities, and they're kind of random in terms of what you get. What else? I'd say, like I said, we're trying to hold these more these workshops that are more focused on talking about the problems within the civil engineering community that plague us. Like we have the housing crisis like all the time, pretty much in major cities, where rent goes through the roof, which is in part due to lack of houses and in part due to politics. And so you have to figure out how to navigate and find solutions to that problem. Of course, there's the issue of providing sanitary water or healthy water to all communities across the globe, not just in the United States, though it plagues areas of the United States as well. So those are kind of some examples of those events. I think in general, that gives you a general idea. But I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I have a quick question. So we have a meeting tomorrow. So where can I join it?
So I think here, let me pull up. Okay, do I have share screen? Yes, I do. Perfect. I'm going to pull up our slide that we had. That way you can fill out. We basically had an interest form that we'll email you from. I'm sure Julia will be sending out an email about it, so you don't, whether that be through the newsletter or I think maybe something else, but the information will be available to you. Let me pull it up real quick. Present. So if you want to get an email from us with our little graphic, just feel free to fill out this interest form and we'll get that to you. Probably tonight / tomorrow morning, we'll send out an email. Hey, reminder about these two events. Technically tomorrow's the ASE/CEE event, welcome event. So there'll be some.
Which I have not sent out the information that's going out this afternoon. So you might want to explain that.
Okay, so essentially it's going to be a welcome event where there'll be some food. You'll be able to talk to your fellow freshmen, as well as some of the organization leadership, most of whom are here today in the breakout rooms, as well as some faculty, whoever would like to grace us with their presence.
It's really just an informal, gathering. Come have some food. Come meet some of the student leaders and some of the other new students on campus that are CEE only. So it's just another way of saying welcome. We're so glad to have you here, and let's start getting to know each other.
Yeah, exactly. And then in terms of like ASCE, I guess what I'd say is our first self event will be this Thursday, and it'll be our first general meeting from 5 to 6:30 and 5:30.
What I really enjoyed about this competition team was the many aspects I was able to become involved in. I was able to become in design. And then what I really found really interesting was I had the opportunity to be in person at Davis shop. And it was really cool to be involved in the fabrication process, and even learning a lot of skills, whether it was welding, cutting pieces, and even understanding how to assemble the bridge. I found that really interesting, and I hope many of you join StillBridge and become involved in the Davis shop section as well.
Very cool. Yeah, so feel free to just drop the interest form again in the chat. I noticed a few people have just joined. So if you guys have any questions about the team, like what we do, what being a new member is like, time commitment, anything like that, feel free, ask away.
And let me say, it doesn't really have to just be about StillBridge, because
yeah, that's true.
All of these student leaders know what it's like to be in class, or at least attend class in some form, and what it's like to be in school. And I trust their opinions. I trust all of your opinions.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you ever deny students who want to apply?
No, we accept all students. We're open to everybody, open to all majors, and yeah, that's pretty much all there's there. So, yeah.
Other thing that I wanted to add is that you don't really have to need any experience at all. I came into this not knowing any of the softwares that we use, or really anything about like StillBridge in general. And they taught it all to us within like the first few weeks. You kind of get an introduction to all of the different softwares, and you get an introduction from other students too. So it's nice to like see that perspective. It's really like easy to ask questions and to get one-on-one help if you need it. So yeah, feel free to join, even if you just like want to learn softwares. I think this is a great place to do that.
Yeah, and what a lot. Sorry. I was just saying, and if you're not really sure like if you want to do like a competition team, a lot of people start going to the meetings for multiple and then decide from there what seems to be a better fit for their interest, or they meet people in certain ones. So yeah, feel free to do that if you're kind of undecided.
When will the first meeting be, or how can we get more information in regards to when the competition team will start?
Yeah, so I think if somebody could put those links and dates in the chat. But our first general meeting will be on Thursday at 7:30 in Davis Hall. And just so yeah, that's basically when we're going to be starting. But to get more information, get all the emails and everything, if you fill out the interest form, you'll get on the email list. And yeah, then you'll get to hear about everything. So, but just more about starting. So the first few meetings will kind of be introductory, especially for new members. And then right away, you can get started in learning about design, which is the first thing we do. So that's like making the line drawing in AutoCAD, where we can then make sure the bridge meets the specifications of the competition, as well as run analysis on it with another software called SAP 2000. And then from there, we'll iterate the design to see